Welcome, everyone, to the close of the Raimi trilogy for superhero stuff you should know. This is Spider-Man 3, and with me is...
It's not written, but I'm going to write in Andrew Jazz Fingers Bush.
Perfect.
Shitty-ass jazz that no one gives a fuck about.
Everyone's favorite jazz sequence.
From the top two, my camera. It's not set up since the Japan World Heroes Convention, so that's why my camera looks different from this episode, everybody. And if you're listening audibly, you don't give a fuck about that. So let's get to it.
They don't see a difference. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a lot of concept art to go through for Spider-Man 3. As usual, it's going to be mostly on the villains, but there's a few, interesting alternate scenes or alternate looks at things that Dan included in here for us to look over. So we'll have plenty to talk about for this one. Out of the three, I think, well, I know that it's been a while since you've watched these movies, but like out of the three for me, this is the one that I'm least familiar with. I've seen 1 and 2 countless times. Spider-Man 3, I've mainly maybe seen twice in my whole life. That's about it. It's not because I hate it. It's just compared to the other two, it's the weakest of the three. I think most people agree for that. So that's probably why. But if I make any mistake here and say that there's something that's not in the movie that actually is, forgive me. But I'm pretty sure some of these things I'm right in terms of it not being in the movie. So let's dive in.
Yeah, they keep doing Venom wrong, so there's that.
Started with this. But first, let's talk about Harry Osborn. So for whatever reason, they decided, hey, like Harry becomes the new Goblin, which is cool, and it's in the comics, but they decided not to carry over any sort of Goblin aesthetic into the new Goblin. And unfortunately, I can't convey that, hey, there's some secret concept art of him in a Goblin mask or anything like that, because none of it's like that. It all seems to be just tactical gear, him embracing the military aspect of it, but no like Goblin mask on it. So we got a lot of stuff like this where he's just kind of a dude with weapons, unfortunately.
Great. That's just kind of boring.
I know, right? Maybe it's supposed to be like a prototype sort of thing, or them playing around with what the rest of the costume looks like. I mean, the actual costume itself, like my only issue is the lack of Goblin stuff, so it could have easily been fixed with just a mask. Like everything else from the neck down doesn't necessarily have to be that Goblin-like. But here we got kind of 3 blades on his forearm, that kind of is a little bit reminiscent of other characters. But it's a lot of straps here. He's got kind of like a collar thing stucking up, and obviously it's James Franco's likeness here. But this is by let me see, who is this by? This is by E.J. Chrysor, is the concept artist on this, and Chrysor's style is going to be apparent throughout a lot of this. I believe Chrysor is only on Spider-Man 3, was not on the first 2, and so this black and white sketch style is going to be apparent throughout, and it's pretty cool.
Cool drawing, but just not like cool for Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. If it was just like, oh, this is James Franco as some action hero dude, I'm like, all right, fine. But as like the Goblin, you're like, could have gone with something else. So a little bit closer to what we would see in the movie, especially on the right, where it's mainly just the mask from the nose down and then the goggles. Again, there's nothing Goblin-like about this.
It just looks like a ninja, kind of.
I know. But that's what they went with for this. Again, E.J. Chrysor for this. So,
dude, I've only seen this movie once in the theater, and I wish I forgot. What was the release date on this?
2007.
I saw this in Japan, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so I don't know. I remember, so I was dating a girl at the time, and she loved the first 2. They were her favorite movies. And then she hated this one. She couldn't stand it because she didn't like Tobey Maguire being evil. She didn't know anything about the comics, I don't think, but it was just the evil Spidey stuff that turned her off. But that's my main memory of the movie.
Yeah, it was a creative risk, I think, to make Peter more selfish in this one, even before he gets a hold of the symbiote. You know, like he's already kind of in that mode, and like the Venom stuff sort of tips the scales even more, sort of makes him more angry, though also makes him ridiculous too at the same time when he's Peter Parker and he's got the emo hairstyle. So a lot of controversial opinions there, but I think it's one of those where there were too many cooks in the
emo
kitchen.
swoop. Yeah, that emo swoop. Yeah, that's right.
But it is that 10-minute sequence that does make the rest of the movie notorious, even though it is only in 10 minutes of the movie.
Who in the sweet fuck thought that was a good idea?
Well, clearly Sam Raimi.
Raimi thought
and the writers.
evil Peter Parker wanted to fucking dance to jazz. What in the fuck, dude? Raimi has made so many amazing decisions his entire life. I think he wanted to sabotage this movie. He wanted to sabotage this movie, dude. That's the only way I can think of it.
Because he hated having Venom in there?
Yeah. This was like passive aggressivism. And he was like, I'm going to make this one suck so I don't have to do any more of them.
Well, we will be covering the Spider-Man 4 that he was thinking of, that maybe he was trying to make up for Spider-Man 3.
Another whole jazz movie. La La Land with capes.
It's all going to be a musical. This predates Joker 2, Folie à Deux.
Right.
This is one where I think the strength of this movie, I think, are in the themes. In Peter's redemption and in embracing the idea of having to let go of the revenge that you kind of need, especially with what we'll end up seeing in No Way Home, right? Like, I think it sort of ties in. It fits so well. I rewatched all the Spider-Man movie before we got to No Way Home, and it jumped in my mind. You know, your favorite part where Toby stops the glider. He stops Tom Holland from killing Willem Dafoe.
That's the standout scene, bro.
Yeah, it's the standout scene, and I think somebody edited the scene from Spider-Man 3 of Aunt May talking about how revenge doesn't solve anything to him.
Well, that's good.
It's because of, I think there's a resonance to that scene, not just because of Tobey being the most nostalgic Spider-Man out of that 3, but also because of what he had to learn, and Spider-Man 3 kind of contributes to that, whether that was intentional in No Way Home or not. But it resonated to me when I saw it because I had just recently rewatched Spider-Man 3 leading up to that movie and was thinking about that, and it's no surprise that other fans caught on to that. It's sort of like re-edited, Spider-Man 3 flashbacks.
You give this movie sequence. What out of 10? Because, like, let's say if you give the first one a 10, the second one a 9.
Yeah.
What's this one?
Closer to like a 7.
That high, man.
7
I remember. Man, we'll get back to the art in a second, but we don't reminisce about this movie that much. So I just wanted to say, I did kind of like how he stuck the poles in the ground at the end and used the Venom. Sound vibration to stop Venom. That's like that in the jazz scene. I swear to you, it's the only shit I remember from this fucking movie. I don't remember a goddamn thing else in the whole fucking movie. But I remember liking that. I thought that was okay. That was a good way that's a fun way to fight the boss. And it's not, because it wasn't like a punch. It wasn't even a web shooter thing. It was like just really cool how he lined up all the bars and then fucking did the vibration thing. So that was a lot
using
of fun.
His wits. Yeah.
Using his wits. I thought that was great. That was so fun.
Yeah. No, I think it is the weakest for sure out of the trilogy, but other than that, it is obviously overcrowded. They should have saved Eddie Brock becoming Venom for another movie and just made it about his revenge stuff with Sandman and the whole revenge stuff being with Harry. Like, that is already fitting into the theme. You don't need like another guy wanting revenge on Peter at the same time. So that was obviously kind of, it muddled it, and we know that there was studio interference for that. But overall, it is one where I really liked how they twisted the expectations of it. It feels like it's such a happy ending with Peter and MJ together at the end of Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3 like explores the complications of that. It explores like what happens when it's that classic dynamic that happens when like two actors end up dating, but like one gets more famous than the other, type of thing. It's with Peter dealing with Spider-Man and that being more popular than MJ's own career, where she's getting shafted out of different plays and like he doesn't even notice because he's so focused on all the Spider-Man stuff. And I thought that was an interesting risk, as well as like kind of making him a little bit more selfish, a little bit more unlikable even before he ends up getting connected to the symbiote, because of how angry he is about all the stuff about Uncle Ben's killer finally being found. I didn't really like that retcon, but I got thematically why they had to do it. And they also just needed to deepen Sandman, because the Sandman's just he's just a dude who turned into sand, more or less. So like they needed to find some way to deepen him. So they just had to kind of add that as well as the elements with his daughter to make him a little bit more sympathetic, and it leads to a lot of, I think, some powerful moments, whether it's Peter forgiving him or Harry forgiving him in his final moments, that I think the themes really are what strengthen it. To me, before No Way Home, it was still the Raimi trilogy on top, even after the Garfield movies and the first two Tom Holland ones. I still consider Spider-Man 3 better than those. No Way Home is better than Spider-Man 3.
You think Spider-Man 3 is better than the first Tom Holland ones?
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
so
for sure.
We're going to get some comments about this.
Or maybe people agree with me because I don't
people,
a lot of
people
Raimi
worship people worship the Holland films. And look, they're good. I like them. But I think that they don't really get stellar till the third one. They're just one and two. Look, you can send me comments too. You can direct the comments to me if you want. Right. Everybody sucks Spider-Man's dick. This whole, all over the internet, like Holland's dick. Mm-hmm. We're just talking. This is a joke, by the way. Let me just spell that out for the internet. It's a metaphor. They worship at his feet.
He is an adult, so don't worry.
He's an adult now. But anyway, so at least it's spelled out for the internet now. So anyway, they sucked his dick a lot, and I was like, I wasn't in line to suck his dick. I liked it. They're good. They're very good, but they're not. I don't know. It just felt overrated. They did feel overrated.
Yeah.
Third one deserves all the kudos.
I agree. But yeah, Homecoming, I feel like, unless it's Keaton or Downey on screen, I was just not into it. I thought Far From Home was better, more engaging, but all the tech spy stuff just didn't feel like Spider-Man to me. It was a decent movie, but it just didn't feel that much. And then you get to this third one where I went in very skeptical because I'm just I don't know if all these rumors are fucking true, where you got all these characters. I don't know how the fuck they're gonna pull this off. And then you hear all the great reviews and great hype, and you're just okay, maybe they will pull this off. And then you watch it, and you're like, God damn, they pulled it off.
They fucking did. And you get that stern ass look from Maguire at the end.
Yeah.
Maguire saves this movie, babe. No, he didn't save it because it was good all the way through, but he has the highlight because he's kind of the OG. He's kind of the OG at this point. The other highlight, of course, is when Garfield saves the girl or whatever. And it's man, it was moving, dude. I was actually kind of moved by that.
Me too. Yeah.
I want Garfield to come back. Fuck the internet. The Amazing Spider-Man 1 is legit good. Number 2, you can shit on it all you want. I get it. It's not as good.
He's still the best part of the second one anyway. He was always one of the strengths.
Fucking Amazing Spider-Man 1, this is another hot take. We're going to have them all this episode. Just get used to the internet. Amazing Spider-Man 1 is at least better than Holland number 2. And maybe even better than Holland number 1 for my money. I fucking liked that movie. Okay. I thought it was okay. But I'm not, again, I'm more of an X-Men fan when it comes to Marvel. So please, I wasn't, Zach always said the characterization was wrong, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess I wasn't too familiar with the characterization, too much going in. Anyway, man, it's kind of fun talking about this because I feel like you can have more hot takes with Spider-Man.
I know. Right.
Okay, you want to get back?
I think Garfield, Andrew Garfield I think he's the best actor of the three. He's not necessarily my favorite of the Spider-Men,
right?
But I think he's the best actor out of the three actors for sure. Just so he was always the strength, I think, of those two movies, and then
easily
obviously started stealing the show once he showed up in No Way Home. So
easily.
It wasn't his fault. A lot of people consider him to be the one who had a lot of potential, but got sort of fucked over in the creative processes that were happening, especially with that second one.
People, we say this all the time on the podcast. Actors are very rarely the reason the movie's bad.
Yeah,
it's usually a lot of other things.
Yeah.
So,
but sadly, the ones who get punished for it. Whenever they do a reboot, they end up replacing them, as we've been seeing. We've definitely been seeing recently with Superman. At that
level though, at least they have so much money, you just don't even worry about them. You know,
Yeah,
they might,
you also just,
whatever.
who can say that they're Spider-Man and have been Spider-Man in the movies?
Yeah.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
So, moving further, we have some interesting illustrations that were meant to be alternate takes. So this was meant to depict how they would shoot the funeral scene for Harry Osborn if they were to shot it in a New York cemetery. They were also considering a Los Angeles cemetery, and this is what it would look like. So this is actually literal concept art of like, well, here's where we shoot it in New York, and here's where we shoot it in L.A.
It's just like almost the same, just more green in L.A., right?
Yeah, and then there's also more, I guess, coverings under the awnings.
Right.
Here.
Right. Yeah.
I'd have to actually take a look and see which one they shot it at, because I'm not sure where they actually did shoot it at in the movie. But it is interesting to see that like they do these concept arts to determine location, or at least maybe not to determine the location, but like if it were this location, here's how it would look, and so they would kind of have an idea either way, whichever one they pick.
Right.
You'd think they would want to make it consistent with the first movie, though, because you do have Norman's grave here too, which is featured at the end of the first Spider-Man. But I guess they weren't really thinking too much about it, or only nerds like us would really give a shit about that. So
nobody was.
That's probably why.
It's fine.
Yeah. All right, so we get more from Chrysler on this. This is Venom, of course. The idea being that it would still carry over some of the webbing that we saw on the Spider-Man suit when it became part of Eddie. That, of course, is not on the traditional Venom look in the comics. And then more from here of the Topher Grace version.
These are really cool, dude. I'm a fan of these for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and as you can see, some of these are like scarier looks than what we would end up seeing in the movie. Like, I don't think we really got a shot like this in the movie. We definitely got like Topher Grace's face when the symbiote would like kind of go back and reveal his face, but it was never like this. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. These are all sweet.
Yeah. Maguire Spidey trying to fight it off towards the end. So these are all like really dark looks that fit the darker tone of this one. Sandman, different faces for Sandman. I guess under different versions of how it would look like with the sand.
Dude, no offense to him, but he'd be the first I would just nix, like in a redo. We did not need.
You mean the character or the actor?
Just from the script. It's Thomas Hayden Church, right?
Yeah.
Like, he seems like a cool dude, but like if I was trying to make a better movie in an ideal world, I feel like I would just take this character out, man. Like,
yeah, but you need someone for Peter to forgive for the whole revenge arc.
Have him forgive Eddie Brock somehow.
Duh.
I need Spidey. I need Spidey versus Venom only. That's what I want.
Yeah, but I feel like you need another movie for that. Like especially because by the time Eddie becomes Venom, it's like an hour and 40 minutes into this movie.
I would change the whole thing.
I mean, even if you were to cut
I need
Sandman,
Spidey versus Venom.
Most of the movie beforehand isn't even really Spider versus Sandman. It's Spider-Man versus Harry. It's Peter versus Harry. So like it's just. But that's more about Harry forgiving him, not him forgiving Harry. Like you kind of need the whole like someone's got to forgive him and he's got to forgive someone.
I guess so. I don't know, dude. It didn't do it for me. The whole thing. I don't know what it was.
Well, these are his faces.
All right.
I don't know what else to say.
No, it's cool. And he's great in Twisted Metal too. But and I'm sure he made the most money in his life out of this movie.
Yeah.
So good for him. He's him. I'm a jackass on the internet. So there that is. But anyway, yeah, this is a cool drawing. Big ass hand.
This is when he's emerging from the armored car later on.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Police help us to stop him, and then like a size comparison between Sandman and Big Sandman, which is what we would see towards the end.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Setting here also kind of reminds me of No Way Home when we first see him, because he's out kind of more in the countryside when Spidey's fighting Electro.
Oh, right.
So this kind of felt a little bit foreshadowing to me when I saw this. More of the battle damage on the mask as we gradually see more and more Toby's face. Pretty cool. Again, Chrysler's pretty legit with these sketches.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking spot on, really.
Yeah.
You can't get much better than that.
Topher Grace screaming into the camera so that you could draw the symbiote around him.
What was he famous for?
That 70s show.
All right, another, not a hot take, but a hot statement. I've never seen that 70s show. I didn't know who the fuck Topher Grace was going into this movie. I had absolutely no fucking clue. You ever seen that show?
Parts of it, like
Parts
scenes
of it,
but like I hadn't really known him that much other than just the fact that he was on that show.
Yeah, people talk about. Look, I miss a lot of these kind of things somehow. It's because I when I'm into something, I'm into really hardcore, and I'll forget everything else. So that's one of those things that went to the wayside for me was that 70s show. And honestly, a lot of sitcoms, dude. I've seen like 3 Seinfeld episodes. I've never seen an episode of Friends. I don't watch that shit, dude. No offense to anybody out there. But yeah, everybody was like, Topher Grace's Venom. That's bad casting. And I'm like, who the fuck is that? That was my reaction to the casting and everything like that when this movie was dropping.
Well, I'm sure when you saw him, you could understand why.
Yeah, it was, it didn't seem quite right. Tom Hardy arguably is better. Maybe he might not be the best, but he's probably better casting overall.
I think from like a physical standpoint, right?
Physical
standpoint, like that's the biggest thing because everyone was like, "What the fuck with this?" But it seems like the main thing was to sort of do like a dark mirror, like a Peter Parker but evil type of thing. Because I could easily see a universe where Topher Grace played Peter Parker and Tobey Maguire played Mirror Universe, Eddie Brock version of this. So I think that's what Raimi was going for as a way for him to be interested in the character because he is on record for not being that big of a fan of it.
He's more Silver Age original Spidey lover, and Venom came out in I thought it was 90s, but it came out in late 80s, right? Mm-hmm. That's when Venom debuted, but then became popular in the 90s, way more popular.
So, this is Todd McFarlane, of course, was a big part of it, and he was not a big fan of, not necessarily Topher Grace, but of the overall look of Venom, because even when like the symbiote takes over Topher Grace, he's still like Topher Grace size, and he was just like, "Where's the rest of him?" was his reaction when he saw Venom.
I like McFarlane, man. Some people don't like him, but he says some funny shit like that sometimes. I think also when he first drew him, he didn't know that it was supposed to be a guy inside or something. I remember hearing that. Like he was only given a little bit of info. Something like that. Somebody let us know in the comments. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't know there was supposed to be a suit or like a symbiote with a dude inside of that at first. He probably found out soon after. Yeah. But that's pretty funny though. But yeah, he's also said some shit about the tongue or something and the teeth, and he's McFarlane, dude. He has the right to say shit about Venom, obviously. So hopefully they fix that in Venom 3, which is incredible they're making that. Right. Yeah, I think, dude, he needs to be nasty and scary. I became a huge Venom fan after reading the Donny Cates run. After I saw Venom 2, believe it or not, I was sort of into that movie, and I read like 5 volumes of fucking Donny Cates' run, which is a recent run, but I thought it was great. I got to know Eddie Brock a lot more, and honestly, dude, he's probably my favorite Marvel character after the X-Men. More than Spider-Man. I don't know. I usually like the good guys more.
Another hot take.
Yeah, I usually like the good guys more, but Eddie Brock Venom, man, is a fucking cool character. Something about, I don't know, I just got to know him more through those 5 volumes. Anyway, this is a very cool drawing.
Yeah, and I think this version of Eddie's a lot more on the villain side, whereas the Tom Hardy version is more on the anti-hero side, at least from what I've seen. I've only really seen him in that No Way Home, mid-credit sequence. I never really... Yeah. I still haven't seen the Venom movies with Tom Hardy. For continuing with the hot statements.
Skip one. Straight up, I'm telling you one. It has some funny, stupid shit in it, but it does not matter.
Okay.
Just go straight to 2. And
let
us know in the comments if you agree with me, but I think you probably will. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't matter, dude. It's whatever. Okay. I don't want to waste your time. I want to be like, you got to watch 4 hours of Venom, and when only 2 hours are good.
Okay. All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is from a deleted scene, actually. So this is Sandman's ex-wife and his daughter Penny, and Sandman forms a sandcastle for her. There are different designs for the sandcastle, but this is from James Carson, who had worked on the previous movies, who came up with this concept. It was, I think, in this park that originally Sandman gets confronted by Eddie Brock about teaming up for the finale, but they changed that in the movie to just them talking in a random alley. But this was going to be the original sequence here. So, kind of cool to take a look at what could have been for this. More Sandman fighting the cops here from Chrysor.
This is very cool shot.
Yeah, especially you can see the facial expressions too on him. So
I always think it's funny when cops like shoot at ghosts or shoot at like characters like this. Like
they don't know what else to do.
I know. I guess it'd be your only reaction, but yeah, I don't know, dude. Like if it was me, maybe I'd fire one shot and then just fucking run. They just keep on firing, especially with ghosts. Like if you can see that motherfucker is transparent, slightly transparent, I'm fucking running, dude. I don't even need it. Right. Like I don't think I'd even shoot. You know that bullet's going through him.
Yeah, that weapon's not going to work.
Yeah.
Leave it to Spider-Man. All right, so more of the new Goblin with his blades on the forearm. And then these are other designs on the Goblin. It looks like they were just playing around more and more with this idea of him mainly being in goggles or some sort of face mask and goggles, but no Goblin-esque type of look. The look here, this is also Chrysor, but the look here just feels very bulky and also not very Goblin-like. I don't even know. Like, if you said this was the Turtle for the Flash, I would believe you, based on just how bulky this is.
It looks like Solid Snake or something from Metal Gear.
Yeah, I guess that too. But this doesn't scream Goblin at all.
No, not at all. This is so boring. I don't know. This is, again, it's another instance where I just go, why do they think this was good?
Also, like, why couldn't he have just worn the same costume as Dafoe in the first one?
Make that motherfucker orange and fucking like Hobgoblin.
Make him the Hobgoblin, yeah.
For the love of God, what are we doing here? You want to sell more toys and shit, right? Isn't that like part of the game? Sell some Hobgoblin toys. We're fucking good. Then I don't know, dude. It was just like Raimi's just getting fucking like he was tired probably. Dude, making a movie, especially at this level, two of them. Oh my God, dude. It's so much work, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could see why he might have been going loony.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, you would think with so much invested in the Peter and Harry storyline that they would have like put a lot more thought into what he was supposed to look like in this. And again, like this, we're kind of speaking as like comic fans knowing that he's called something Goblin. And when it comes to the actual course of the movie, there's not really anything else that, like story-wise, that got ruined by his design. But you have an expectation, especially given the fact that they're following the comics. Harry Osborn does become the Green Goblin, the second Green Goblin in the comics. You would think that they would just continue with the Goblin type aesthetic, and instead we get this that we see here, where it's just some douche in goggles. You know, it looks like he's just hoverboarding. Like it doesn't have the same effect at all.
The orange looks more evil. It's like a little Halloween vibe because of the orange and the pumpkins again. It's just really fun, dude. This is like, I don't know, man. There's
no Goblin. There's no Goblin aesthetic.
Looks like they had I don't know, there's something a little fun about it, but it's nowhere near as good as Hobgoblin would have been.
Yeah. Well, we have more potential sculpts for Venom. This is from Jeff Boccaccio. Boccaccio makes adjustments to an early version of the Venom sculpt, according to this caption from Dan. So we could have looked at something a little bit scarier, judging from what we can see at the teeth on the right. Jesus.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
This is pretty cool. I'd love to see the final version of this, or maybe this is the final version. I'm not sure. They just never painted it. But if they were just trying to get a look at a general idea, they might not have needed to.
So the Venom suit, I would love for them to do practical, and it's one of those suits where you kind of forgive for doing, CG because of what that suit has to do.
Right.
But still, if it's just like Eddie Brock standing there, I don't know, dude. Just fucking make whatever looks like black tar or whatever shiny and give him a practical.
Yeah.
You know, and then add on CG later. You know, whenever he has to do the tendrils and shit.
Yeah, whenever it has to move.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, and even if you have like close up of the Venom teeth, just fucking make that practical too, man. And
Yeah,
you
that
know,
too.
I don't know. Like, I just feel like the Venom movies are kind of missing that
Mm-hmm.
for CG, but you know, whatever.
Right.
It's at least their problems.
Another sculpt as well of half Eddie, half Venom on there. This time with the aesthetic of some of the like Spider-Man webbing on there.
Yeah, it's cool. Pretty cool. Zombie-ish.
This looks a little bit more like Spawn to me.
This looks like a comic book come to life, though, kind of. This is a really comic booky aesthetic. 90s comics.
So this is from Kent Jones, who sculpted this. So very
Okay. Yeah.
cool. Kent Jones also did this along with Sandman in the background.
That's cool.
So let's see. Moving further, Chrysler again with this sort of Eddie and Venom transformation. It looks like they wanted to really see what that could look like. Probably because of like the first time we see Eddie put in contact with it, we kind of have this visual of it taking over his body. So like that's probably what they wanted to make sure they nailed down before they before they moved on to just the general design, or maybe they did both probably. But this is also by Boccaccio. It says Doppelganger Venom sculpt. Interesting.
That is cool. That is cool. I learned the word doppelganger from the Spider-Man cartoon.
Oh yeah.
When he becomes the doppelganger with the 6 arms or whatever.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember where I first learned it. It was definitely before. I remember learning it before comic book stuff, but I don't remember where it was from. Because they used that in the Flash CW show as like the way to differentiate the different people among the multiverse.
Oh yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I knew it before then. Yeah.
Well, Flash is you're already an adult, right? You knew.
Yeah, so I already knew
it before then, right? Yeah.
And then we have here from Chrysler, not just Eddie Brock, but like a study of the tendrils of the symbiote down below.
I feel like Raimi could have really leaned into the horror aspect more.
Probably.
Venom.
Yeah, like if he just had room for it.
Yeah.
Again, just save all of Eddie's stuff for the next movie.
Yeah.
Here we go. More Venom stuff, of course, from Chrysler. Now a little less of Eddie and more of Venom itself. More of the tongue and the teeth. Pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. No, I mean,
No
I say
notes.
this so much with the Spider-Man stuff, but yeah, nothing to say about this one. Also, nothing to say about this one. It's very cool. What can you say?
No, Chrysler really nailed it with a lot of these.
Yeah.
Kind of see the Venom symbol on the front and back. I don't think we really saw that well in the movie. It was kind of camouflaged in there. So that's something they could have brought out more. It's not as defined as it is on my shirt.
It's still something missing from the Hardy movies too, because it's
Really?
Venom without Spidey.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you fucking try to do these spin-off movies without any Spider-Man.
If they want to bring back, if Sony wants a fucking banger, they need to have Hardy versus Garfield, bro.
Yeah.
And make
Maybe
it
that's the
even,
third movie.
and make it. You could probably make it like, God, I'd like it for B-rated R, but probably will be rated PG-13. But do it like the Batman thing where it's like kind of riding the edge of R rating. You know what I mean? That would be sick.
No, totally. More designs here. Interesting down below on the bottom because it almost just looks like musculature.
I think that's kind of. It's like he just drew a musculature drawing.
Yeah, because it's a little less of the the tongue and the sharp teeth, and now you just see sort of like the inside of a man.
Yeah.
for better or worse. So, along with the talons.
Yes.
All right.
No, it's cool though. Pretty much. I don't know. Nothing else to say about that one. I can, we can say a lot about one drawing, but then a lot of these is just like, yeah, it's good, no problem. That's how it goes.
It is cool to look at some of the concepts and see that something that was maybe a little closer to the general comic book aesthetic was in the works, and they just kind of, for whatever reason, went for something that was a little, I don't know, more muddled. I'd say, like something that's not quite as like if you. You have a very clear image of Venom in your head with the comics, and then you think of like this movie version of it, and it's just like you can kind of see him, kind of don't.
Right.
It's just not as clean of a design.
Right.
So moving further, this is another example of them playing around with different locations for a scene that I don't think made it into the movie. So this is Aunt May and Peter talking outside the police precinct, presumably before or after finding out that the Uncle Ben's killer is still around and is the Sandman now. So this one is from Kasra Farhani doing it for this location, and then Jamie Rama did this location as like a different police precinct. So I'm not sure what the scene would have been, but we have the idea of Aunt May and Peter talking out here.
That's cool.
Maybe it got moved to because there are other scenes between the two of them in like her place or mainly Peter's apartment. But I don't know if that was a case where they just moved all the dialogue there rather than try to shoot a new location, or if there was just something else that was cut.
Yeah.
And this is on similar lines. So they considered Spider-Man 3 taking place during the winter, as we can see on the image on the bottom where there's snow involved.
Would have been sick.
Yeah, would have been cool. Also a good contrast, right, with the symbiote. The black on the white snow.
It's black and white, yeah. It's kind of cool, actually.
So, Kasra Farahani again with this rendering. But they didn't go with winter when it came to the movie. But it'd be cool to think what if. Again, I just think it's a cool visual with the snow. Especially
yeah. Actually, yeah, they're always in summer or something, or fall or something. Like, there's never been a Spider-Man movie in the winter, right?
Kind of feels like that, yeah. Well, I mean, the end of No Way Home, right? Because he's in the snow, but like it's
that's
like,
not the whole movie, though.
Yeah, it's just like the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
After that time jump. So, but yeah, when we return from the break, we will cover the rest of what we got here, including more looks at Sandman and more looks at Venom. Welcome, everyone, to the August announcements. We have a lot to share with you coming up this month, so let's get to it. As you know, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/superherostuffpod. We use the money for this towards, our recording space in StreamYard that we've seen here in all our episodes, our server, our website, our assistant, Dan Yamat, who does all the visuals and thumbnails for us. So we are currently sitting at a little less than $200 a month. Right now, we'd love to get to $300 a month, which would cover everything for us from month to month. If more people join the Patreon and we reach $300 a month in Patreon, we will celebrate that by covering one of our most requested episodes, Superman Lives, which would have been directed by Tim Burton and starring, as we see, Nicolas Cage. So that is our goal, to hit $300 a month on Patreon. You can help us get there by joining any of the Patreon tiers at patreon.com/superherostuffpod and, help us out a little over that.
It'll be an absolute Superman Lives bonanza multi-parter.
Oh, yes.
So, you get your
many
money's worth. Yeah,
yes.
Don't worry. We'll cover the shit out of it. We
Yes.
just want to get to that new goal.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, everyone who's already part of the Patreon as well. In the meantime, some upcoming stuff that you guys might want to be on the lookout for. I will have a guest appearance this month on the podcast, Flashbacks, a Flash Rewatch podcast from one of our friends and Patreon patrons, Alex Ramsey. And we're going to discuss the Man in the Yellow Suit episode from Season 1, which was the very first appearance of the Reverse Flash on the CW show, at least the Reverse Flash in costume, since he was already kind of part of the show before that. But yes, that'll be what we cover, and I'll likely be on Alex's Night of the Batman podcast at some point as well, but I'll let you guys know when it comes.
All right.
So, moving forward, you've heard about this before, but we'll repeat again. We are executive producers and co-stars in an award-winning independent short film by Jeffrey Scott Richards. You can support the film over at the GoFundMe link that will be in the description below, as well as what's on screen, but you can also watch it now at the Multi-Dimension Independent Film Festival website. That link will also be in the description, but you can check it out. It features pretty much us in an exclusive recording. It is a Superhero Stuff You Should Know episode we recorded for the movie, in which we talk about Derek Magnum, who in the short is a director of comic book movies. So we talk about Derek in that, and kind of serve as the narrator and exposition through a Superhero Stuff You Should Know episode. So a great use of us, I think, personally. So check that out over at basically the site is mdiff.net/Derek-Magnum. So that is what we got for
It was
our shorts. Go ahead.
It was an honor to be part of this, and yeah, if you could support them and support, it's just very expensive to make a movie, and yeah, if you could just check out his GoFundMe, that'd be great.
Yeah, and thanks to him, we are now award-winning producers, executive producers.
Yes,
on stuff on our IMDb. But yeah, this sending the films through film festivals is not cheap, so the GoFundMe goes towards the cost there, and it will support the movie. Again, it'll go towards the movie, and it'll go to Jeffrey. It will not go to us. We're good. We got our Patreon. Just to clarify that.
Yes.
Over to Andrew you've got something big coming up this month.
Okay, so speaking of indie film, and the future is Kickstarter, I feel like, and Indiegogo. So this is Metal Force. This is think of R-rated Power Rangers meets Stranger Things, a little bit of X-Files, Green Room, that A24 horror film where Patrick Stewart is a villain, is a neo-Nazi. No neo-Nazis in ours, but but there's a punk band in that movie and there's a metal band in ours. So that's another one I've been meaning to tell people. There's a little bit of Green Room in there. Anyway, Metal Force is a film I'm working on, and we're gonna have a booth at Japan World Heroes Convention. That's in the Burbank Marriott Convention Center, August 18th through 20th. We will have a little bit of stickers and stuff that'll be on sale, and just say hey, and we're going to officially launch the Kickstarter then. Metalforce.ninja, www.metalforce.ninja. That is our website. That is our URL. If you go there, there's a Kickstarter link there as well. You can find the Kickstarter there and get on the pre-launch page and sign up for pre-launch before we launch it on the 18th. And so far, as of this recording, we got 75. So if you want to kick us up into 100, that'd be cool. And yeah, it's this is going to connect to the next slide, but it just feels like Hollywood has failed us, and so I feel like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and GoFundMe and all of these are just really great avenues for filmmakers now. And like the Bat and the Sun guy's been doing it for a while. A lot of people have been doing it, and I am going to be part of that. With some friends. So yeah, stay tuned. Metal Force. If you like Power Rangers and Stranger Things, did you ever wish Power Rangers got darker? Did you want blood? Did you want limbs being ripped off? Metal Force.
Amazing.
Okay.
And moving on, we have our August charity that we'd like to share.
Yes. So it's the Entertainment Community Fund. This is to help starving artists. No, I mean, hopefully they're not starving, but some of them might be. People that are affected by the strike. We're not all. I mean, personally, I am too, but I have another gig that's kind of helping me out. But there's some people that don't have that extra gig, and people that aren't part of the union that don't have the strike fund. The unions have a strike fund that help support them during that, which is great. I am pro-union, but some other people, and people that I know also are affected by this that aren't part of the union. They don't get the strike fund money. So this Entertainment Community Fund helps to support them. So this is our charity for this month. Please go to entertainmentcommunity.org, and if you could donate anything, that would be great.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, please visit entertainmentcommunity.org, donate what you can, and help out those who are part of so many of these movies and TV shows that we talk about and that we know that you guys love.
Yes.
So I think that is it for the August announcements.
Just wanted to announce that I have a new podcast called Gaming Gaiden. It's about Japanese to English translation. In this first season, it will be 10 episodes each season. If you saw the ranking, every Superman video game two-parter we did here on Superhero Stuff You Should Know, you have seen Mike before. So yes, if you like video games, if you've been interested in Japanese ever, we're going to be talking a lot about just Japan in general, Japanese cultural differences as well. And we also are going to have a lot of talk about 90s video game magazines such as Electronic Gaming Monthly, aka EGM. So stay tuned for Gaming Gaiden podcast. It's already out now, y'all. I want to tell you about the patreon.com, patreon.com/superherostuffpod. And on that, you get the $1 tier. You can join the $1 tier, which gets you the shout out on the board, and either visually or orally, or both at times. We want to do the oral for the most part for newer people. And then the $5 tier gets you a whole new show. This show is every Monday, as you well know, and it's free on YouTube and the what's nots. And the Patreon show is every Friday at the $5 tier mark. You can, if you want, binge us for $5. And there's like 150 episodes, almost 150 at this point. And you can, listen to all that content there. Even the stuff that's been released from the vault, none of that has been the full episode as well. So trying to keep our $5 tier people happy. But yeah, check that out. And then our $10 tier gets you all of the above, plus it gets you a monthly meetup show where you meet up with us monthly, and it's like a Zoom-like call, and we have a topic at hand, or sometimes videos we react to and things like that. And that's at the $10 tier. Every tier that you get, like the $5 tier gets you the $1 tier benefits, and the $10 tier gets you the $5 tier benefits and the $1 tier benefits. So check that out at patreon.com/superherostuffpod. We also got the merch, which is Redbubble, superhousepod.redbubble.com, and on Threadless, superherostuffpod.threadless.com. Get your Bin Man and Indeed Wizard mug, shirt, shower curtains, and all the rest artwork by Stefan Santa Cruz. And please send us some audio at superhousepodcast@gmail.com. A bumper would be great. You too can be part of the show. I'm ThunderWolfDrew on Instagram and Twitter. ThunderWolf Lives is my other YouTube channel, one of my many YouTube channels. And I have also ThunderWolfDrew.com has my whole portfolio in one place. And that's it, Ben.
Follow us on social media, on Twitter at SuperHousePod, Instagram Superhero Stuff Pod, where we have some different supplemental stuff. I've even analyzed the martial arts stance that the Keaton ornament from The Flash is in, so you can check that out on our Instagram, Superhero Stuff Pod, TikTok, Superhero Stuff Pod, Vero, Superhero Stuff Pod. My website is benjuanwriter.com, where you can read a whole bunch of spec scripts, including Gotham, Vampire, Elementary, The Death of Sherlock Holmes, and Curb Your Enthusiasm, Disneyland. If you're fans of any of those shows, check them out and let us know what you think. My YouTube channel is in the description below, including Doctor Who, The Ronin of Time, an audio drama I write, edit, and narrate with the 8th Doctor meeting Miyamoto Musashi. My personal Instagram is benjuanwriter. If you like cats, my son, Alfie, my cat, is at Alfie Pennyworth Cat. And if you have an Alfie yourself, then you can get the Whisker Box, the only cat box with a crazy cat lady and gent. And you can even check out another page on that website, superherostuffpod.com/show notes. That includes various show notes for each of our episodes, links to the scripts that we review if they're available online, Amazon links to the stuff we've been talking about, including, Brian Levant's book that he plugged for us, My Life and Toys. So check that out at superherostuffpod.com/show notes.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with BarkBox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right. One free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the BarkBox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you.
Why do you smell like shit?
We have returned to cover more of Spider-Man 3 and some of the alternate takes or alternate scenes here, including this one that I have pulled up here. So what is this? This is Apparently, an idea where in the movie, Spider-Man first meets Sandman when Sandman tries to hijack an armored car, and then after getting sort of absorbing the symbiote and wanting revenge on Sandman for killing his uncle, he goes after him in the subway where he thinks that he's killed him. Now, what this concept art, apparently done by Jamie Rama, was supposed to show was the idea that they were going to, at some point, combine both sequences. That, I guess, Spider-Man would face off against Sandman in the armored car, and then it would lead to the subway sequence where they fight off against each other, and Spider-Man turns Sandman into mud. So what we have here is the overturned truck in the background. You see a body, hopefully an unconscious, not a dead, guard there, and then you've got Eddie Brock taking pictures down below in the open grate leading into the subway where Spider-Man's going to be fighting against Sandman. So this specific type of shot was not in the movie, but it's interesting to see that they were playing around with ideas of combining scenes here.
That's cool. I was just wondering if Sandman's ever turned into diamonds.
In the, I think in the Cameron script he did that.
Did he really?
Yeah, but that was how he killed him. I think that's how Spider-Man
kills him. One big ass diamond.
The Electro in that electrocutes the Sandman, and that turns him into like diamond.
Oh my god!
Or glass or something. Yeah,
it's just a good visual for sand, right? Sand,
yeah,
it's a huge, transformation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. This apparently was also the idea of Harry turning himself into the Goblin in Oscorp. And once again, in the middle, you can see the Goblin mask that Defoe wore. But
just
he decides
do it.
not to wear it. So this is Kazra Farahani again doing this, and this is in the lab. But they decided to change it and make it the lair inside of Harry's apartment, which I guess makes sense considering that that's where we left off in Spider-Man 2, where he finds all the Goblin gear inside his apartment. So this is James Carson who did this version here.
Yeah, cool. No notes. Again, architectural stuff. Generally I'm kind of more lenient, I guess. I don't know what it is.
Well, there's more architectural stuff. This is the setting of your favorite scene. This is the jazz club.
Oh God!
He had to make sure that they did concept art for this.
No, it's just, didn't you think like this is unbelievable? Like it's just like, what kind of choice is this? Like why? They wrote this down.
Jump the shark.
They thought it was good.
Sure, yeah.
They thought this was the move in several script readings. Mm-hmm. Fucking Maguire had to rehearse this for, I don't know, at least a week. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, dude. It was just like, what the fuck, man?
I could have done without the whole dance sequence, because the whole point of it was him bringing Gwen Stacy over there because he's a fucking jerk now and trying to make MJ jealous, and then him hitting MJ, which is
you don't need a dance number for all that.
You don't need a dance number for all that. You could literally he brings Gwen over there. MJ, is all pissed and stuff, and Peter, is pissed about her lack of reaction, and then they get into a fight, and then he literally hits her, and he realizes what he's become, and then he goes off to the church to, take off the symbiote. That's all you really need. You don't need a huge dance sequence in the middle of that.
No, it's the stupidest shit. It's like, dude, what else in comic book movie history is this dumb?
People would say the back credit card, but that was only 2 seconds.
Back credit card's only 2 seconds. This is a whole sequence.
Right?
Maybe the bat nipples, because it's the whole movie.
Yeah, but that's just a design feature. That's not a scene.
Yeah, so like, is this the worst?
Let us know in the comments section.
Again,
I'm sure
look,
people will have arguments for other stuff.
We worship at the altar of Raimi here on this podcast, but we skip this jazz service.
Moving further, this is cooler. So this is Spider-Man going after Sandman in the subway by Oliver Scholl. I like the style of this. This is an old school black and white, like horror movie sort of look to it.
This is so ambient and full of atmosphere, man. Like a lot of superhero movies don't have this. It would be very good in a Batman movie too to have something like this, but
right.
Yeah, it's very cool. I don't know how they would have interpreted this for Raimi's Spider-Man, but it's cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. More of Chrysler with Venom. Again,
Sick.
We've got the webbing, which I get it. Maybe it's just carryover from Spidey's suit. It just doesn't seem to make sense, because at least in the when it's on Peter, right? Like it's just attaching itself to the existing Spider-Man suit. So like I could understand that, but why it would carry over into Eddie, I don't know.
I think it's the memory of the symbiote, and it's mimicking what it just copied. You know, because I mean, I don't know what the kind of explanation they have for the Venom symbol. It just looks cool, and I feel like maybe there's some internal logic there. If you really want to fucking stretch it, it's because again, it's trying to remember. It's doing an interpretation of what it thinks Spider-Man is, remembering those powers. Because how else can, you know, Venom shoot webs? He shoots webs in most of the fucking interpretations, right? Like, so it's like that's kind of the whole deal, I think. So I think that's the explanation for that.
Yeah. This is different ideas in terms of the final battle. The first one at the top was like, what if this was set during the day? And the second one on the bottom is, what if it was set at night? And of course, they went with the night version, which is, you know, makes sense. That's how the other two movies had sequences at night. It just feels more climactic that way, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Good choice. James Carson did that one. This is another one. It says, production illustrations can often be used to inspire an approach to lighting a set long before the set is actually constructed. So this looks like it's, again, Flint Marko, the Sandman, like in the sewers with his loot from both Kazra Farahani and James Carson here. So a little hard to make out, but that's kind of just here for atmosphere stuff, I can see.
Yeah.
We got this cool shot from James Carson of a little bit more traditional symbiote Spider-Man looking over the city. As we can see here, it's a little closer to the comic with the white symbol on the back and without the webbing. Because in the comic, it kind of just forms its own. Because for those who aren't familiar or who are familiar with Venom but aren't familiar with the arc where Spider-Man first had the symbiote, it kind of just looked like a good Venom. Like, he kind of just looked like Venom as Spider-Man. He didn't have the teeth and the tongue, but he did have like the white eyes and the big white chest symbol on it. But the rest of him, like, it didn't have the webs and stuff. That's something that the movie did. So Carson's just following the comic for this image.
Venom didn't shoot webs on his own before this movie. So I'm mainly familiar with the Donny Cates stuff. Yeah, right?
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did.
Because he
just didn't have the webbing on. Yeah, but he didn't have the webbing on his costume.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Okay, yeah.
Other concept illustrations by James Carson of the big web in the finale. So
that is cool.
With the bus in there, so that's pretty cool. Sandman's hammer hand. This is hammer hand study in this, so there's a lot of hammer hand studies. This is from Chrysor. I think the next one's from Chrysor too. With the face being like half human, half sand-like, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
More of Eddie getting transformed by the symbiote. Again, more of that horror aspect that Raimi has a little bit of in the movie, but could have gone even further with if he had a whole movie of Venom and if he liked the character better, I guess. More of this new Goblin. He's not really a new Goblin. He's just a skater dude. And then more versions of. I think this is from James Carson again. Yeah, this is more versions of the castle that Flint turns into for his daughter in that deleted scene.
Okay.
Of course, we have a more traditional one on the right, but the other two are cool too. But I think he would have like cycled through different ones. That's how we would kind of know it was him when we saw that, since we're supposed to think that Spider-Man killed him at this point. More of this is the sequence where they're looking over Sandman's origin, where I guess they figured out there's a guy in there the whole time. So there's this shot, and then this was interesting to me. So Sandman's first crime as the Sandman was hijacking an armored car. But in this concept art, it looks like he would have robbed the actual bank. He would have actually gone inside the bank. As we can see here, where he's trapping the guards and filling it up with sand to, I guess, try to kill them. This is another look at the bank vault with a lot of sand on the floor. So an alternate sequence, I guess, of another way for him to debut as the Sandman. And we got this like gold vault thing in the middle of everything, which also could have been interesting. But yeah, it all sort of points to a different version of the debut. I think they were just playing around with what would be cool, but ultimately the armored car thing won out because I guess they figured they could mix a like car chase sort of thing with the Sandman fight. Which is what they did.
Could be more dynamic. I think that was the right move.
I think also too there was already a bank heist in the second one with Doc Ock.
Oh, right.
So
That's true.
thinking,
yeah.
We don't need to do this again.
With the like money symbol on the bags,
Yes.
like it's fucking like a cartoon. I was like, damn, they really did the whole fucking cartoon aspect of this really well.
That was amazing. Yes.
Yeah. Scrooge McDuck gonna show up next. You know.
Should just had Doc Ock dive into the gold.
I always wanted to try that, but when you think about it, dude, it'd be hard. It'd be hard as it was metal. It'd be hard as a
would break
rock.
your neck. I've seen some YouTube parodies of that where Scrooge McDuck dies on impact.
Yeah.
He dives in.
Man, it captured every kid's imagination though back then.
I know. This is Peter hanging out with Aunt May's friends. I don't
The
think this
Golden
is in the
Girls
movie.
looks like we got
I know.
Blanche and the rest of them.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend, Peter.
Yeah. So this is him Yeah, he's totally guest starring on Golden Girls in this.
I mean, that's good. That's fine.
Yep. Some concept art of the armored car, just kind of using a lot of Photoshop, it looks like, because this guy is definitely from a stock photo that they just kind of threw in there.
Yeah, size reference, maybe.
Spider-Man in the middle of a web. I think he was... I mean, he does have a kissing sequence with MJ in a web, but that's as Peter. But maybe... yeah, this is just an idea. Because if I enlarge this... I'm trying to get a closer look. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that is probably supposed to be MJ. Because there's a girl there. I wasn't sure. It was so small, I could see him over somebody, but I wasn't sure. Okay, yeah, that's her. This looks like it's either Eddie fighting the symbiote or it's Peter trying to take off the symbiote in the church bell sequence.
Very cool.
Also with Chrysor. Another cool look at Venom.
Yep. Very.
And
no
this is
notes.
for sure. Yeah, this is for sure Peter trying to take it off at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They probably just wanted to take a look at how that should look like as well when it came to this type of art.
Probably never, because these are like kind of photo, except for this one, these are photorealistic drawings. So
Chrysor's style helps.
Yeah, they want to see what exactly that looked like because it only been rendered in comic book style until this, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Spider-Man versus Venom as well on this. This is from the Venom site that had some of this Chrysor again, but a little bit more comic booky.
Does he do a move like that in the third act? I don't remember that.
I don't remember this part either. Let us know in the comments.
I haven't seen it since 2007.
I haven't seen it since 2021, and I don't even remember that part. I'm just like, maybe. I remember them fighting, but I don't remember this part.
So that's what makes Venom's cool, because he does all those kind of moves, which is really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Got symbiote taking over Spider-Man's costume again. Battle damage Spider-Man for the finale. More Venom, of course. This is closer to what we get in the movie, right? Where like the eyes aren't as like visible. You got the webbing. Like it looks more complicated compared to like the cleaner, simple Todd McFarlane design in the comics.
Yeah,
that's iconic.
Yeah.
Skater dude, Osborn. Moving on.
Not great, man. I think that's like the weakest part of that design's like the weakest part of the movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Spider-Man versus Sandman and Venom at the same time for the finale.
Like why go try to be a little bit more realistic and believable when you got a Sandman, you got a Venom, you got a Spider. Like just fucking make the guy Hobgoblin and be done with it.
Yeah, I know, right? You already had a Goblin.
He's out of place at this point, with fucking all the rest of these fucking characters.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Peter and MJ hanging out. This is originally, I guess, them sitting under a tree as opposed to being in the trees in a webbing like in the movie. But this is where the meteor shower happens and, the meteor with the symbiote arrives.
Indeed.
So, this makes sense. This looks to be part of the Sandman origin, where he's caught in the middle of the collider thing. This is cool art. I like this, though.
Colorful.
Spider-Man webbing in to help rescue people and all the webs that I think Venom has created. So, this is the taxi cab that MJ's in.
Yep, very cool.
And then I think this is where Eddie abducts MJ, because you can see him in the background. And I don't think that's supposed to be Peter, just creeping out in the
I
back.
could have just had like half the movie like this and no other bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just evil Eddie. You know,
Yeah.
and Eddie becoming like his, you know, his villain. I don't know. It would have been cool,
Right, where
I
like
think.
half the movie is him under the influence of symbiote and like kind of being a jerk, and the second half is him trying to make up for it, but he's already pissed off Eddie Brock, who now has the symbiote and is now the villain of the movie. But like for the first half of the movie, Peter's almost the villain.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they want to show what it does to people, but I feel like that was just so extended. Like have him like be evil for like a scene, and then he drops it, and then it goes to Eddie or something. It was just such a long part of the movie, in my opinion. As far as what I remember, you know, maybe I could see it again. I'll change my mind, but you know, whatever. When we all know, most people agree this is the weakest one, so we're kind of just preaching to the choir in a lot of ways on this.
The death of Harry.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought that was a beautiful shot too. You've got the sunrise in the background while Harry's forgiving them. So it's a poignant look, but this is rendered in concept art. This is how they originally envisioned it.
So this whole movie is about forgiveness.
Yeah.
I forgot everything, dude. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's what's such a powerful theme of it. That's why I'm just like,
Yeah.
There's a lot more to this than jazz hands. Jazz hands is just for like like 10
20
minutes at the most.
fucking minutes?
It's literally 10 minutes. I timed it when I last saw it because I'm just like, oh, this is not
okay.
that big of a part of a movie. It's the most notorious part of the movie, but most of the movie is Peter wanting revenge on Sandman and Harry wanting revenge on Peter. Which then ends with him forgiving
bro.
Sandman and Harry forgiving him here at the end. Venom's just kind of an afterthought. He's just kind of like, well, he's the dude who doesn't get forgiven and he doesn't forgive anybody and he just shows up and he dies. And that's it.
Great.
So they shortchanged him, but that's why I'm like, ideally with this type of story they want to tell, you just save Eddie for the fourth one then.
Right.
You can still have the symbiote there.
Right.
You build up that's bad news. And then the ending is Eddie getting it, and then the fourth one is Eddie's the villain as Venom.
Mm-hmm.
This is a look at sort of the Venom, traditional Venom that they were playing around with.
That's cool. This almost looks practical. This is CG though, right?
I feel like this is just a maquette though.
A maquette. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
maquette. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's a guy in a suit.
This would have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a little closer to what we would end up getting in the
Ugh.
movie. Not as good.
Not as good.
Not
It doesn't
as
cover
good.
his mouth ever because they want to show off his teeth. It's always like that. I forgot how that.
Yeah, I think it's
worked.
kind of like that. Yeah, like it's or like this. Like it's never as clean as this. Like this is just clean, very simple, simplistic. I don't know why they had to complicate this shit like this.
It looks just not good, man. I mean, to the Hardy movies' credit, they do look more like the other picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pretty
Yeah.
close, other than the symbol's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. Once he fights Garfield and gets a taste of the Spider-Man suit, finally, we'll be talking.
Yeah,
It's Sony's easiest
we'll see what
fucking
happens.
move, dude. If does Sony want money? Do they actually want fucking money?
it's not like they don't have the rights to Spider-Man.
Or Venom. They got a
Yeah.
Venom. They got a Spider-Man. They got a willing Garfield Spider-Man still there.
Yeah,
You could
it
go
seems like he would
darker.
exist in that universe.
Go darker than the MCU. That's how you separate it from the MCU stuff. And bada bing, bada boom. There you go. That's easy. Come on. Do you want? It's like as easy as fucking this. It's actually easier than the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Like that's another dream. That's a dream movie being made. Spider-Man
Right.
versus Venom only. No other fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
Make it happen. I don't know. It's just it's
Yeah.
it's one of those things. It's just like so obvious to the fans.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm not in charge.
We're not in charge. They need to take my fucking notes
Yeah.
because this is a
So
practical
this is the
suit
last
here.
one. Yeah, this is what looks like a practical suit in the making. I don't think it's literally anybody. I think it's just a maquette or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it's on a mannequin or a mannequin they devised for it. But this has been going around, and it looks like it's Sam Raimi looking at this. And this, I mean, it looks literally ripped from the comic. Of of how Peter looked after Secret Wars, when he got the symbiote on him, and for whatever reason, they're just like, nah, let's not do this. Let's just do the Spider-Man outfit, but in black. So,
Great.
oh well. But yeah, that is what we got for the Spider-Man 3 concept art. So looks like a lot scarier versions of Venom was in the works. Could have been a lot better in that way. And a few deleted scenes that we didn't get to see. But I know that there's like a campaign as well to release the Raimi cut of this because there are deleted scenes, but most of them are in, if not all of them, are in the novelization that I read back in 2007, and it doesn't really do much, in my opinion. Like there's barely anything. Like stuff is a little bit more developed, and that's about it. Like Sandman and his daughter, a little bit more developed, but that's about it. It's not like that dramatically different of a story from what I remember. People might correct me and say I'm wrong and have reasons why you prefer the the scenes or want this cut going out there. But as far as I've seen, I'm like, this is not a Snyder cut, Schumacher cut, Ayer cut type of situation. It just seems like a few scenes were cut and people were kind of just jumping on the bandwagon just because they heard that a few things were deleted. But that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be that much better of a movie.
Right.
If anything, things should have been cut from this.
Yeah, I know, right? That's how I think, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying?
Oh, are we at our like round, like end of the end of the episode and impressions and
Pretty
all
much.
that?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of said them throughout the thing. A lot of this more than the other episodes we've done was just kind of like shots of the buildings and like establishing shots or whatever and architectural stuff. So that was I kind of noticed that during the whole thing. The the super realistic Venom shots were great. I love Venom's look. I think he's really cool, and I think it's part of the reason. Well, Donnie Cates didn't even fucking write his run at this point, but like I don't know, I just felt like they could have done Venom better. The other two movies only had one villain each, right? So like just keep that going.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt a little bit overcrowded. Jazz Hands, terrible also, as we all know. But I can't forgive it, dude. But yeah, I might have a Maguire night again and watch them all. This has made me think about it. I didn't know until we did these episodes that you had rewatched the other two quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't rewatch things a whole lot. I'll rewatch The Karate Kid like once a year, and My Cousin Vinny, another Ralph Macchio movie, like once a year. And I don't know. I don't really rewatch because there's so much other shit I've never seen, man. Like,
sure.
I don't know. I just don't rewatch a whole bunch.
It's the same reason why you occasionally rewatch Karate Kid or My Cousin Vinny. It's like it's one of those movies that I like revisiting, and you feel good when you watch it, and it captures that sort of Ditko Spider-Man in a way that I just don't feel like has been captured in any of the other versions, even though I still like the other versions. And I think Spider-Man's always kind of been well cast, but just the way that this was done, man, and the way that Raimi did the trilogy. The third one could have been better, but it's the first two are pretty solid, and the third one is mostly a solid movie outside of like it's overcrowded villains and jazz hands. But outside of that, I think it's got some solid thematics to it and a solid character arc. And what I appreciated about it was it took a creative risk with the Peter and MJ relationship after it being so built up that like he has to get together with her, and it's like it's not happily ever after. And the ending scene of this is very interesting to me because there's no like triumphant like he swings off as Spider-Man and MJ kisses him and stuff. It's like they reunite in that jazz club and they just dance and there's no dialogue, and it's just like, well, it's kind of up in the air. They have to sort of repair what's been broken.
Oh, that's like the last shot of the movie or something?
Yeah.
I think I remember that now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was kind of
a lot more. Yeah, because it's not as easy.
Yeah.
It's not like you weren't yourself and I forgive you now for everything. It's literally just like, okay, some trust has been broken. We've gone through a lot of stuff. Whether or not they get through it, we don't know, and that's kind of how it ends. And I thought that was
right.
I appreciated the realism of that.
That is a very cool way to end it. But that's another superhero dancing dance, like a little dance number. That's not jazz hands, but like Steve and and Agent Carter. Peggy,
Ooh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
like at the end, but the Peggy and Steve thing was like really well done, man.
Yeah.
That was like,
well, it's also a clear happy ending.
Clear happy ending, and like I've never seen like, you know, somebody stick the landing so well in such a big production like Avengers 3 and 4. That's another fucking thing, another episode, but yeah, I was just thinking about that recently. But anyway, back to Spider-Man 3. You're selling me a little bit more on it. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'll probably end up watching him again at some point.
Yeah. So yeah, check it out. Know that there's a lot more to it than just emo Tobey Maguire and all the Bully Maguire memes that are out there. Because again, it's only really 10 minutes out of like a 2.5-hour movie. Because so much of it is built around these other themes. I still think they could have just made it Harry as the Goblin and made that better. Maybe with him dealing with the symbiote. Maybe have this, like, I like the Sandman aspect because of the whole forgiveness thing. It still ties in thematically to that. You would mainly just save Eddie for the next one. But just having it be about the cycle of forgiveness after all the cycle of revenge, and ending it the same way with them in that dance club would have been, I think, a solid way. And then paving the way for like a fourth one where you could explore more of the actual Venom stuff. I think that would be the way to go. But
yeah,
we'll see what the actual Spider-Man 4 could have been next week, because we're preparing that. We're going back to the unmade stuff. This has been a three-parter lead up to Spider-Man 4 that people have been asking about. And it's like, well, the main stuff I got on Spider-Man 4 is concept art, so we should cover the other ones first. And now here we are. So you guys can look forward to that next week. But until then, that is superhero stuff you should know. Big thanks to Dan for gathering the visuals for the YouTube experience and all the different concept art and letting us know who did what. You guys can check out more of the concept art in the Patreon, as we usually have deeper dives or stuff that I've saved for behind the paywall, stuff that's a little bit more obscure or other things, other aspects to talk about, or things that we might have missed that we add in like a week later when we release it. So just some inside scoop for there. Let's dive into some of the comments. So I did want to honor comments acknowledging the loss of Matt Herring. And wanted to thank you guys for that. So the first one is from Kendarius Dupree, saying R.I.P. to Matt. If I were Thor, I'd say that he fought valiantly and honorably. May he rest well in the halls of Valhalla. But since I'm not,
thank you.
I'll still say may he rest in peace and prayers to his loved ones.
It's funny you say that because I do think he referenced Valhalla once or twice to me. So that's cool.
Thanks, Kendarius. So you nailed it on the head for that one.
Yeah.
Next one comes from Stanwood. We brought Stanwood. I know I just commented on a Stanwood comment last time, but we brought it back because of this. So first I want to say that I'm sorry for all who knew Matt. I remember always saying a silent prayer when you would mention him in the early episodes. Sorry for your loss, guys. Sure, he will continue to listen and be proud of your work.
Yeah,
thanks, Stan.
Man. Yeah, it sucks.
With regard to Spider-Man 2002, I saw this in the theater 18 times.
Bro. Oh, my God. 18, my man, my guy? That's a lot. I've never seen a movie that... Now that I'm just going to say this real quick since we're on the subject. Mm-hmm. Yep. The movie I've seen the most in the theater is There's Something About Mary. I feel like no one else has ever done this. My dad and I guess had nothing to do that summer. I don't know what it was. I was a kid, probably like 12 or some shit. I love Farley movies, you know, like Dumb and Dumber and everything. My dad did as well. And we saw that movie 9 times in the theater. 9! Anybody else in the world see There's Something About Mary 9 times in the theater? Let me know. Or more. Because I feel like we have the world record on that one. Anyway, continue, please.
So Stan saw it 18 times. He said, just so I could watch it with my friends who didn't get the chance.
A lot of friends.
He had a lot of friends, and he strategically spaced it out so they couldn't watch it together. He's like, no.
I just want to see this.
Again.
18. What movie have you seen the most in the theater?
Not much. Like most, I've seen a movie twice in the theater.
You never go a third time?
No.
Really?
No.
Well, there's no reason to now.
Especially now, yeah. Especially now, you're just like, it's going to be on streaming anyway. You can catch up again.
I know.
But yeah, like Begins.
Man, just
Dark
2.
Knight, the Batman I've seen twice. In the theater.
I saw Man of Steel probably 3 times. I saw Dark Knight 4. I saw Avengers 1 4 times. Usually, if I really like it, 4 maybe. 9 very much the exception to the rule. But okay,
if it was back in the days where it would be like an event when it finally came out on home video, like a year later, then like I could see myself do that with a lot of the Batman stuff in the past. But since that window has kept getting shorter and shorter, now it's just like you mainly go to see stuff so you don't get spoiled on shit online or anything else you might just be interested in because you're bored. And then just like, all right, well maybe I'll rewatch it again if I like it enough when it hits Max or Netflix or Hulu or any of these places. Like it's not as special anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I love all the Marvel movies, but I think I've only seen most of those one time too in the theater, dude. Like I've bought a couple on Blu-ray, but never really put them in my Blu-ray player. So I don't know. It's just how it is a lot of the times.
I think Black Panther's the only one that I did twice.
Mm-hmm. I love No Way Home, but I feel like it's a big movie, big chunk of a film to kind of. You can't watch. I don't know. I can't watch that casually. Mm-hmm. I can't just have it on. That's another reason why I don't rewatch shit is because I do not. I usually like focus just on that movie. I mean, I'm looking at my phone a little bit here and there, but I'm not like up and cleaning. I'm not doing a bunch of other shit. I'm usually like kind of focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could be like that too. I think it depends on the movie too. Like I usually reserve if it's something where people are just like you should watch it because of this reason, but it's not that great of a movie, then I'll be like, all right, this is one where I'm like I have on in the background. But then if it's like something that is like critically acclaimed, then I'm just like, all right, well I'm good. I'm reserving that for when I can sit down, absorb this thing. So I think it depends. So Stan said, interestingly, last weekend a local theater played the film. I assume this was your 18th time, Stan. It was actually packed with young and old. Best part was that the audience reacted just as they had in 2002. Cheers and clapping. The film still holds up and definitely sets the standard. Another great episode. Thanks, Stan.
Woo!
Nice. Thanks, Stan.
18 times. So crazy, dude. I still can't get over that.
Next one's from Jackson Wayne Putnam. What's up, Jackson? You had a lot of comments on Spider-Man stuff. Couldn't get to all of them because there's a lot there, but I picked this one. So Jackson said he loves the head horn that came out of translating the Goblin's purple hood in the first movie. He said it always felt like a bit of an HR...
Giger.
It's Giger, right? Not Geiger. I always think Geiger.
I know it's. I was saying Geiger for the longest time, but I have come to find out that it is Giger.
Yeah. So Giger influence to me, I can see that, especially with the the xenomorph. And I think it ties into Norman's worldly affinity for sacred tribal masks and such. In universe, it could be an influence from the ancient Mayan practice of elongating the skull. And here's a quote that he has here.
Yeah, go ahead. Just the elongated skull. It's so, don't want to judge other cultures, but I think it made the people crazy from what I heard. Like it, I don't know, man. Yeah. All right, go ahead. Sorry about that.
The person with the elongated head was considered wise and closest to the spirit world. Interestingly, in Basque culture,
but that's in Basque, this is in Europe and Basque, but maybe that's something similar.
There are also references to these men, Los Gentiles, Gentiles, endowed of superhuman strength, who moved large stones to distant places and were the builders of megalithic monuments.
Like Stonehenge and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Basque is an area in Spain, but I'm sure, like most of Europe, they had like a pagan past. So their language, their language isolate too. It's interesting. Like there's not many. Like Basque is not Proto-Indo-European. So like they're interesting in that regard. They have no connection to Spain, even though they're surrounded by Spain. So yeah, interesting. That's cool though. I mean, I love the quote. I love that kind of stuff.
It says, and it helps with the aerodynamic aspect of his flight suit. I love that it might not even be intentional, but let's assume it is, right? Like, I love that there's both a symbolic thing and a functional thing. If it's just a functional thing, it can kind of just be dull. I mean, just look at Harry's outfit in Spider-Man 3, right? Like, It's functional, sure, but it's boring as fuck. Like, here, like, you mix the Goblin aesthetic with the functional with symbolism, and it works really well. So Jackson says there's a function that kind of goes along with it, like those weird helmets some bike racers use. There's even more mask concept art out there for the movie, and they really lean into the cultural mask influence. Nice.
Very cool.
Nice. Thanks, Jackson, for this. Sorry we couldn't get to the others, but we would be here all day if that was the case. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
That's cool.
On to the shout-outs.
All right, everybody, thank you. Please put tit in your name, and we would like to thank everybody up on the board. I've done it so many times, but I don't know. Okay, yeah. Tita, Sketchcraft, Kyle B, Darren P, Devin, Tit Bout, Renee V, JPF, and Devin S.
Also, Carlos R. Good meeting you. I'll add you
Carlos
to this one.
R.
I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. And everybody else, of course, try to name just the most recent people. That's why I do that. And Tita's just funny. And I want to thank the other supporters as well. Kooky Noms, let us know if you're still listening to us. Okay.
She is back on Instagram. So.
Yeah. We mentioned her a couple of times because she was like really prevalent in our comments and stuff kind of earlier on in our podcast. So anyway, that is it. Thank you guys, everybody here up on this here board. And we've told you about our friends here, and we'd like you to do us a favor.
We want you to tell all your friends about us. Website.
Oh yeah, that's a Batman thing. Oh well.
Jazz hands.
Fuck that shit.